Tiff, today we've got two very competitively priced, equally powerful coupes. One is more track focused, the other is more of a GT, but which is the better all-rounder? You got the BMW M2 CS for around about £73,000, and we got the around about £80,000 Jaguar FType First Edition all-wheel drive.
Did you say all-wheel drive?
I did.
You do realise you can get a rear-wheel drive version and save yourself £5,000?
You do realise it is going to rain today, and that's going to be a big advantage for the all-wheel drive.
Did you say first edition?
I did.
You do realise you could have saved yourself £5,000 by having the R-Dynamic version?
Tiff, you do realise that this is the car that Jaguar very kindly loaned us, and this is the car we're going to use today.
Calm down.
Okay.
I'll take the BMW.
You can take whatever you want.
Now, of course, we've already had the M2 competition, but this M2 CS is the sort of last hurrah for this 2 Series, as the second generation is coming later this year. So it's just that usual BMW way of saying goodbye to a model, give it a special edition. It's only got another 40 horsepower, the same torque, but it's got more highly tuned suspension, the old M dynamic suspension. It's got some fancy Michelin Cup tyres that give more grip. Although the prices start at what, £73,000, the Caymans cost about £80,000 because most of all it's got the £6,250 carbon brakes, which give me the gold calipers to match my gold wheels, which also cost another £500, but they're worth it. I love the gold wheels. It's not actually any lighter than the competition version, even though it's got a carbon fibre roof, which does lower the centre of gravity a bit, and lots more carbon fibre bits here and there. But it's just another evolution of a car that I know is going to give me huge amounts of joy on track, because the M2 competition was wild enough. But of course, to go wild, I have to get all my settings right. As usual with BMW, the M cars, we've got these M1 and M2 options. Press DSC off, engine sport plus, chassis sport plus, and steering. This is always a thing with BMW M cars. Almost everybody, including me, prefer to leave the steering in comfort. The Sport Plus gives the steering an almost artificial, excessive weight, which you really can do without. So now we're ready to play.
The original F-Type came out in 2013, and you get a V6 version as well, but now you can't get the V6, you can just get the 4-cylinder, or indeed this V8 that I'm driving now. And there are multiple different versions of this V8 as well. This isn't the most aggressive, the most sporty of them. There is an R version as well. That F-Type R will deliver 575 horsepower, 125 over this P450 model. The engine itself is the same, so with this lower tune it delivers power effortlessly, never really breaking a sweat no matter how hard you press the loud pedal. The engine lineup isn't the only big change from the old car either. As well as a completely new front end, they've overhauled the suspension to improve handling and stability. And I've got to say, the original one just felt a bit more of a yobbo, a bit more of a sporty, hooligan-y car. And don't get me wrong, this doesn't feel slow in any shape or form, but it's not a sports car. This is much more of a GT.
I'm still, like everyone else, not quite sure that this steering was a bit too chunky. It's got nice Alcantara cloth on it, and I'm used to these BMW wheels, but I still wish they'd come out with one a bit smaller. Oh, a little bit of a flick one way, flick it the other way. Oh, yes, got that one. And back the other. Oh, got the next one. And hey. This fast right hand, give it a bit of flick, hit the throttle, get the drift going, catch the slide, smile to camera. Oh my goodness me, things don't come much more fun than this in a car. Feed the power in, grab another gear. The gear change can be a little bit quicker. I don't know, BMW manuals are the best you ever get, but I think I've been too used to flapping pedals now.
Nothing wrong with flapping paddles, Tiff, especially when they're connected to a rather fancy 8-speed gearbox as in this F-Type. It's been derived from the Project 8 Jag's 600 horsepower Super Saloon.
The brakes feel good, and that all-wheel drive is helping me, of course, with a little bit of understeer, as you'd imagine. It's not really enjoying being on this track, but I'm enjoying listening to that V8 in front of me. Listen to that noise. Ooh.
That V8 noise is very good, though not as vocal as its predecessor, as I mentioned before, but it's still a soundtrack that the BMW simply can't match. Although the BMW has a Jag well and truly beaten when it comes to disintegrating rear tyres.
Oh, this is driver satisfaction. This is what you want to be doing in a car. Somehow I don't think Paul's having quite as much fun in that four-wheel drive Jaguar, especially as it rained. Oi, oi.
Oh, he's flashing his lights. What does he want?
Are you having fun in that? I'm not sure whether your four-wheel drive is quite so good after all. It's dry.
I know, I was banking on rain, I'll be honest with you. I wish I had rear-wheel drive. It's not really designed for this. I'm very happy if you want to have a go. And
let me have a go. I'll tell you what, you park up, get a stopwatch out, let's just see what is the difference in lap time.
Perfect, all right.
Right, time to set a lap time to give that Jaguar something to think about. I've got the same settings, traction control off, but now instead of playing with the car, which is so much fun, and spinning up those rear wheels to drift through corners, I've got to use my right foot as a little bit of a traction control device.
Come on then, Tiff. Whoa, he couldn't resist.
Snatch third through his long right onto the back straight. I've gone a bit wide, I let the nose go. You see, when you don't punch it in, it understeers a little bit. Squeeze the power, power, power. Oh, that's okay, that's okay. Get the nose in now, open the throttle progressively, Tiff, that's nice. 7,500 revs up to about 115 miles an hour.
Brake, 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 here we go. Stop the clock, 45.7. Don't know whether that's good or bad, to be honest.
There are times when you can just use a bit of power to get the turn done, and you have to come off the throttle a bit, find the traction, and then nail again. Now this time, get the nose in earlier to get that apex, will you? I'm staying on the brake slightly to help kick the nose down, to get some grip on the front, to get the nose in. It's got to be a slightly quicker lap, I hope, or have I overcooked it?
And stop. Wow, that was interesting.
I'm hoping to resist the temptation to drift and try to find traction. But what time is it set for the Jaguar then?
Well, you're not very consistent. You 46.3, that flying lap, the last one, but your fastest lap 45.7.
Oh, yeah, well, I must have slightly overcooked it, got too carried away on the slower lap.
I'll be honest with you, I'm quite happy for once about this social distancing, and you're of a certain age, so you're sort of high risk. I'm quite pleased to be in the sunshine, just watching you thrashing it around.
You just don't like sitting beside me because you can see my supreme driving skills in action. You just rage with jealousy. That's your problem, not COVID.
Come on, Jaguar time.
Growling away, aluminium paddles. And this, by the way, BMW, this is nicer steering wheel, you see. It's slightly thinner, nice, round, all leather. I like the steering feel though, it turns in, yes, nice. It varies between like understeer and oversteer. You've got to remember it's 200 heavier. Oh, whoa.
There's a bit of a different line there.
It's a good growling supercharged V8. Will it drift? No, it's got this clever torque stuff, a little bit of a lift off in, and then it goes back into an understeer. Because the clever diff is trying to help me out by moving the power to the front, when really, I just like to kick the power to the rear.
That's a lot tidier through there.
It's got quite a good turn at slow speed there, I tell you what. Although it's rolling a lot and understeer and oversteer, this doesn't feel that much slower. Except this fast corner, I can't there understeer, then a little bit oversteer, a lift.
46.7, so it's only a second off the BMW, which is quite surprising actually. Around here, it's a very short track, so a second here is probably like 3 seconds at Silverstone, but still, I'll take that.
Come on, Jaguar, come on, Jaguar, come on, you can do it. You're a bit heavier, you're more designed for grand touring, but you're not that bad on a racetrack. I'm just not sure that it can overcome that 200 kilogram weight penalty, which is probably about a second on a track like this. Paul, okay, I gave it my best. It felt good, but what, 45.7 to beat, and it did a
very respectable 46.5, which I'm pleased with for that Jag.
I am impressed, because I just said the 200 kilos would be worth about a second round this track. So that would take it from what, 45.7 to 46.7, and it did a what?
46.5, which is very impressive. All-wheel drive, heavy car, very good.
Well done, Jaguar, well done.
Come on, Tiff, come in now. I think we need to go on the road where I think that Jag is going to be a bit better suited than a racetrack.
So as we calm down a bit and head out to the public roads, it's time for a different M button settings. Traction control on, engine a bit sporty, comfortable steering and comfortable ride. So now I've got the best of both worlds, my M1 button, Dr. Jekyll for the roads and comfortable cruising, and then I've got M2, Mr. Hyde, when I want to go mad on a racetrack, which if you're in a car like this, you'll want to do very often.
I have to say, it feels a lot different driving on the road than it does on the track. It feels very sedate, it feels very comfortable, and it feels much more in its natural habitat. And I was really pleased with the F-Type because it certainly didn't let itself down on the track. It's not really designed for a track, let's be fair. I think the rear-wheel drive would have been a bit better. It's finally starting to rain just ever so slightly now, and I thought the heavens were going to open, hence why the all-wheel drive would have been a perfect track candidate against the M2 CS, but let's be fair, that is a proper track weapon.
So we spend all day in the sunshine and then the rain comes. Still, better to have rain on the roads than on the track. The only real problem with this CS model is the price. It's actually a whopping £23,000 more than the M2 competition with only 40 more horsepower. So it's really the fact you're getting this special limited edition, the end of this M series range. You do get this carbon fibre roof which looks distinctive, you get a fancy front splitter rear wing, and you get a very special carbon bonnet with a big air intake which does make it stand out. It's the same sort of story really on the inside. Whilst BMW haven't really brought any great sense of occasion to the interior, apart from a bit of flashy carbon fibre door handles and that CS logo, I don't really mind that because I've still got my traditional round dials, nice little needles telling me revs and speed and the amount of fuel I got in the tank, simple little screen nicely set high up, but no flash digital didgeridoos that I don't really want anyway. But because this is a limited run, because this is an end of an era, there's still something, the provenance of owning one of the few cars like this that are going to be produced, perhaps not worth an extra £23,000 compared to the M2 competition. But then if it's a bit of prestige you want, I guess you don't mind paying a little extra.
Inside the cabin, you know, it feels very luxurious. It feels like it's well and truly a 70 or 80,000 pound car. You've got a big bar in the middle that separates you and your co-pilot, but everything inside feels very luxurious. The steering wheel's very nice. You've got leather everywhere, and you've got this beautiful stitching on the leather. And the outgoing car had analog dials, but this one's got a 12.3-inch digital display. So you've got digital display here and digital display there, but you've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. I love all the Alcantara everywhere. It's just a very good finish inside.
I'm sure Paul will be saying, you know, Tiff's teeth are getting knocked out, but they're not with the comfort setting. These seats hold you so well throughout your back. I don't think the ride quality being on the firm side is going to be a problem at all for a long distance cruise. Just give me a slightly thinner steering wheel, BMW, please. I love the Alcantara. I love it's round. Just slightly thinner. Of course, you can get a flappy paddle twin clutch version of this M2 CS, but to be honest, the way cars are going, any chance you get, if you can afford to buy a rear-wheel drive, high-powered, manual car, you really want to jump at the chance.
The thing is about having an all-wheel drive car against a rear-wheel drive car, yes, it's a bit more fun with rear-wheel drive, and maybe petrol heads like myself prefer to have a little bit of action happening once in a while, but the reality is, all-wheel drive, you can use it every single day of the year, come rain or shine. It's a much more usable, much more friendly way to be able to enjoy a car, and for a Grand Tourer, why not?
Whatever the pluses or minuses, there's no way I'd pick that Jaguar over this BMW M2 CS. I mean, it's a rare car, it's going to be forever a rare car, and one I'm sure no one who buys will be in any way disappointed. I'd really rather like one, to be honest. It's my sort of car.
So there we have it, two very different interpretations of a two-door coupe, but both surprised us with how well they held up on road and on track. The F-Type managed to get within less than a second of the track toy's lap time, and the M2 with its adaptive suspension proved to be a very capable road cruiser. Perhaps the biggest takeaway then is the breadth of capability in modern cars is just getting wider and wider, and choosing between them becomes even harder because of it.